The night sky over Earth had never looked like this before. Billions of people looked up and saw something they could not understand. Above every city, above every ocean, huge silver shapes slowly appeared. They were silent, smooth, and bright, like moving stars. No one heard them coming. They were just there. The ships were so big that clouds broke around them like soft smoke. Lights glowed at their edges, cold and blue. People stopped their cars on the roads. Families ran to balconies. Children pointed at the sky. Every camera in the world was filming. For many years, humans had imagined meeting aliens, but no one imagined this. The ships did not attack. They did not make a sound. They simply hovered, calm and still, as if they were waiting. In Washington, London, Beijing, New Delhi, Moscow, world leaders rushed into emergency rooms. Military jets rose into the sky, but no one dared to fire. The world was afraid, but also curious. Then from the largest ship a voice came. It was soft, deep, and clear. It was not human. Yet every person understood it in their own language. Do not fear. We are the Zerithians. We are here. And to protect you. The voice echoed across cities through phones, televisions, and speakers. It was inside every ear. People cried. Some cheered. Others stayed quiet. The aliens said they came from far beyond the stars. They told the world that something was coming. A threat, a dark storm in space. They called it the Dark Swarm, a force that destroys planets. They said it was heading straight toward Earth. They promised to build protective towers, to guard every city. They told humans they were too fragile to face what was coming. They said humanity needed help. Many people believed them. After all, the ships looked powerful. The aliens sounded wise. The United Nations quickly held a global broadcast. Leaders welcomed the Zerithians. They shook hands, or at least tried to. The Zerithians were tall, with silver skin like metal and eyes that glowed white. They moved slowly and spoke with calm voices. They told humans, you will be safe. Stay inside your cities. We will build shields around you. You will be protected. Within days, their machines covered the Earth. Giant towers rose overnight, silent, perfect, and alien. Humans watched in awe. These towers shined in the dark like blue glass. They looked like they could protect the whole planet, but not everyone believed the story. In a small underground control room in Nevada, Commander Sarah Kane stared at the screen. She had been a soldier all her life. She had seen war, lies, and danger. Something about these protectors felt wrong. Her assistant James pointed to strange data. Look at this. Energy spikes. Every tower is facing inward, not outward. Sarah frowned. What do you mean, inward? James zoomed in. These towers, they're not aimed at space. They're aimed at us. The room went silent. Outside, the world was celebrating. People were hanging Zerithian flags. Children wore alien masks. No one cared about the tower's direction. No one noticed the quiet hum in the ground. Sarah turned off the news and looked at the map again. Every tower was built in a perfect circle around cities. Like cages, she whispered to herself. Maybe. They're not here to protect us. In the sky, the largest Zerithian ship hovered above the Atlantic Ocean. The clouds below it glowed blue. From its center, something pulsed, a bright light like a heartbeat. Each pulse grew stronger, reaching every tower around the planet. In the streets, people cheered as the towers lit up for the first time. Beautiful light shot into the air. It looked like magic. Here it looked like safety. But in the control room, alarms started to beep. Sarah and James saw the readings. The energy is climbing, James said, but it's not going out. It's going down. Into the ground, Sarah's eyes widened. They're not building shields, she said. They're building something else. In the Atlantic sky, the Zerithian voice returned. The first stage of protection has begun. The lights on the towers changed color, from soft blue to deep red. Around the world, no one understood what it meant. People clapped and waved. Children laughed, but Sarah Kane knew. She ran to the comm station. Get me every base still online, she ordered. Something is wrong. Very wrong. In that moment, for the first time since the ships arrived, a low rumble shook the ground. The towers began to vibrate. James whispered, What are they doing? Sarah's voice was cold. They're locking us in. The camera feeds showed the towers forming invisible barriers. Birds that tried to fly through them fell. Drones bounced back like they hit glass. And then the largest tower in New York aimed its beam not at the sky, but at the ground. A red light spread like roots through the streets. "Containment protocol active," the alien voice said. Sarah stared at the screen. The world had trusted the Zerithians. They thought they were being saved, but in truth, they were being caged. The towers kept glowing red through the night. Every city on Earth was surrounded. No one could leave. At first, people thought it was part of the protection system. They told themselves it was fine. The Zerithians promised safety. They said this was how the shield would work. But inside the control room, Sarah Kane and her small team knew something was wrong. They had seen the energy patterns. They had felt the vibration in the ground. This wasn't a shield. It was a prison. The Zerithians had given humans no choice. They came with power, with technology no one could fight. And they spoke with soft voices, voices that made people trust. But trust can be dangerous. Sarah stood in front of the glowing map. Red circles blinked around every major city. New York, London, Cairo, Tokyo, Sydney, Moscow. All connected, all trapped, James whispered. "We should warn the world." Sarah shook her head. "No one will believe us, not yet. They think the aliens are their saviors." The next day, the Zerithians announced a global safety program. They told humans to stay inside the cities, to follow new curfews. Food distribution was placed under alien control. Human governments agreed, or maybe they were too scared to say no. On every screen, the same alien symbol appeared, a silver circle with 3 lines. The voice returned, calm and cold. "Stay calm. You are safe. Protection is our duty. Cooperation is required." Most people believed, but not everyone. In the underground base, Sarah made a decision. She needed proof, not theories. If she could get real data from the alien systems, she could show the world what was really happening. She looked at her small team. James, her loyal technician. Ariel, a quiet hacker. And Mason, a soldier who had seen too many wars. "We're going inside," Sarah said. "We find the truth. We bring it back." That night, under the shadow of the New York Tower, a small black drone flew low and silent. The city was quiet. People were sleeping. Alien patrols moved slowly through the streets. Sarah and her team wore dark suits. They moved like shadows. At the base of the tower, a silver door pulsed with light. No key, no handle, just a smooth wall. Arya placed a small device on the surface. Sparks danced across the metal. "I can crack it," she whispered. Minutes passed like hours. The door finally slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the tower was cold and silent. The walls were alive. Streams of red light moved like veins. The floor was smooth like glass. James tapped on his handheld scanner. "I'm reading data cores below ground. A lot of them." Sarah pointed down a glowing corridor. "Let's move." They followed the light deeper. The air was heavy, humming with alien power. Finally, they reached a chamber. Floating in the center was a massive holographic map, not of the stars but of Earth, every city, every tower, every energy line, and at the bottom of the map, words in alien language slowly translated on their device. Containment level, Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 behavioral control. James's hands shook. "Behavioral control? What does that mean?" Mason answered, voice low. "It means they're not just trapping us, they want to control us." On the side of the chamber, screens showed images of human population zones, movement patterns, and even individual faces. The towers were not only shields, they were scanners, trackers, and locks. Sarah clenched her fists. "They've planned this for a long time." Suddenly, a soft clicking sound echoed through the corridor. The team froze. Zerithian guards, tall, silver-skinned, glowing eyes, were walking toward the chamber. Arya quickly shut down the screen. Mason aimed his small weapon. Sarah whispered, "No shooting. If they hear us, it's over." They slipped behind a metal pillar as the guards entered. The aliens spoke in their strange language, but Sarah's translator picked up fragments. "Containment stable. Are humans unaware? Phase 2 in 48 hours. As soon as the guards left, the team moved fast. James copied the data into a secure drive. Arya covered their tracks. Mason checked the exit. Before leaving, Sarah looked at the holographic map one more time. Every red line on it was a chain around humanity. She whispered, "They think we're weak." The team escaped through the lower tunnel, their breaths loud in the silence. When they reached their hidden truck outside the city, the towers behind them were still glowing red. James handed her the data drive. "We have proof," Sarah nodded. "Now we need the world to hear it." But it wasn't going to be easy. The Zerithians controlled the networks. They controlled the news. People didn't want to believe anything bad. They wanted to feel safe. Sarah turned to her team. "We go old school, radio, underground lines. Any way we can." Mason cracked a small smile. "Like the old resistance," Sarah answered. "Because that's what we are now." Far above them, the largest Zerithian ship pulsed again. That strange heartbeat in the sky. Deep inside the alien command center, a Zerithian commander stood before a glowing screen. "Humans are almost ready for containment," he said. "They do not understand their own danger. We must keep them under control before the swarm arrives." Another alien replied, "And if they resist?" The commander's white eyes narrowed. "Then we will remind them why they needed protection." On Earth, Sarah Kane stared at the map of towers glowing red. She knew something big was coming, and she also knew no one else was ready to believe her. But soon they would have no choice. The world slept under red light. Every night, the alien towers glowed like blood in the dark sky. People walked through the cities like nothing was wrong. They trusted the Zerithians. They believed the story about protection. But Sarah Kane and her small team knew the truth. They had seen the map. They had heard the alien words: containment, control. 48 hours. Time was running out. Inside an old military bunker in the Nevada desert, Sarah spread out the stolen data on a big table. Dust covered the walls. The air was cold. It wasn't much, but it was a start. James worked on an old computer, its green screen flickering. "They control every signal," he said. "We can't go through normal channels," Arya added softly. "We don't need to. We go old school. Analog radio. Underground wires." "No alien interference," Sarah nodded. She looked around at the faces in the room. These were not an army. They were a few soldiers, hackers, and mechanics. But they were human. And humans had something the aliens did not expect: stubbornness. "We can't fight their ships," Sarah said. "Not yet. But we can hurt their control. We find a tower. We bring it down. And when the world sees it, they'll know the Zerithians can be stopped." The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. One wrong move, and the aliens would crush them. Mason, the soldier, cracked a grin. "I like impossible plans." The next night they moved. Their first target, Tower 19 in the outskirts of Denver. It was smaller than the one in New York, but it powered the shield around several cities. The streets were empty. Red light glowed from the tower like a warning. Alien patrols walked the perimeter. Their steps made no sound. Their white eyes scanned everything. Sarah's team wore dark suits and used short-range radios. They crawled through tunnels and broken pipes, moving like shadows under the earth. Above them, the tower hummed. When they reached the base, Arya whispered, "I can open the maintenance hatch. Give me 30 seconds." James checked the power readings. "Energy flow is strong. If we place the EMP charge here, we can fry the control core." Mason held his rifle. "And if they catch us?" Sarah answered without emotion. "Then we make it count." Arya opened the hatch. Inside, the walls pulsed with red light like veins. The air was hot, alive with alien power. James placed the small EMP device against the wall. Its blue light blinked softly. Suddenly, a sound, a sharp mechanical click. Alien drones floated from the shadows. Their glowing eyes locked on the team. Mason fired first. One drone fell, smoking, but more came. "Go, go." Sarah shouted. James activated the EMP. 30 seconds. The air filled with light. The drone screamed with a metallic sound. Red alarms flashed inside the tower. Zerithian guards began to arrive from above. Arya grabbed the last cable. "Done! Fall back!" Sarah ordered. The team ran through the tunnels as the sound behind them grew louder. Alien energy burned through the metal. One wrong step and they'd be vaporized. Then, a boom. A wave of blue light exploded from Tower 19. Every light in the city flickered. Alarms blared. The red glow on the tower faded. The shield above Denver collapsed like broken glass. James laughed breathlessly. It worked. It actually worked. Above ground, people stared at the sky in shock. For the first time since the aliens came, the shield was gone. The Zerithians rushed to repair it, but they had never expected humans to strike first. They thought humans were weak, scared, easy to control, but humans had teeth. In the bunker, Sarah stood in front of a radio. She spoke slowly. Clearly, "This is Commander Sarah Kane. The Zerithians are not protecting us. They are controlling us. But they can be stopped. Tower 19 is down. If you hear this message, you are not alone." For a few seconds there was only static. Then a voice, then another, then 10 more. Old military posts, civilians, scientists, farmers, all over the world. People who never trusted the Zerithians answered back. "We hear you. We're ready. Tell us what to do." A small spark had become a flame, but victory did not go unnoticed, high above the earth. Inside the Zerithian mothership, Commander Vethran watched the feed. Tower 19 was offline. Energy had dropped. Human voices filled the channels. The aliens' glowing eyes narrowed. "They are resisting," one soldier said. Vethran's voice was cold. "Then we will remind them who holds the power." He turned to a glowing console and gave a single order. "Activate containment protocol, Phase 2. On Earth, every alien tower pulsed brighter. The red light grew stronger. A deep vibration ran through the ground. Sirens began to wail in the cities. James stared at the monitor. "They're responding." "Big time." Mason loaded his weapon. "I guess they noticed us." Sarah didn't flinch. "Good, let them." The team gathered around the map. Tower 19 was just one target. But now they knew the towers could fall. And if one could fall, so could the rest. Sarah looked at her people. "We fight smart. We fight fast. And we don't stop." The world is waking up. Outside, the night sky was burning red. Alien ships moved slowly over the cities like predators. But far below, in hidden bunkers and silent forests, humans began to rise. Whispers of rebellion spread through old radio waves, and for the first time, the Zerithians felt something they had not planned for: fear. The red towers burned brighter than ever. Every city shook with the sound of alien power. Sirens howled in the night. For the first time since the Zerithians came, the world was no longer calm. People whispered in fear. Some believed the resistance had caused this. Others began to question everything the aliens had promised. In the bunker, Sarah Kane watched the red lights on the map spread like fire. Tower 19 was gone, but hundreds more were still standing. James slammed a fist on the table. "They've locked down half the planet." "They're tightening the net." Arya scanned incoming frequencies. "There's more." "The mothership is moving closer to Earth's orbit. They're preparing something big." Mason loaded his rifle and gave a crooked smile. "Let them come." But something felt different this time. The ground was shaking in a strange rhythm, like a heartbeat. The towers were humming. The air felt heavy, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. And then the Zerithian voice returned. Calm. Cold. "Containment Phase 2 active. Remain in your zones. Do not resist. Protection will be completed soon." Sarah stared at the ceiling. She knew that protection didn't mean safety. It meant control. But just as the team started planning their next move, Arya's screen flashed with a warning she didn't recognize. A different signal. Not from the towers. Not from the mothership. From space. Her hands froze over the keyboard. "Sarah, this isn't alien. Not Zerithian. Something else is coming." The screen filled with strange, dark patterns. No language. No message. Just a wave of pure energy heading straight for Earth. James leaned forward. "That can't be right. Nothing moves that fast," the air raid alarm screamed. For a moment, even the alien towers stopped humming. The Zerithians were silent. No orders. No commands, just silence, Sarah whispered. The dark swarm. The threat the Zerithians warned about, everyone thought it was a story, a lie to control humans. But it wasn't. The real danger was finally here. High above Earth, the darkness appeared. Not like the Zerithian ships. Cold and silver. This thing was alive. A storm made of black smoke and thousands of moving shapes, like insects with no faces. It moved like a tide swallowing the stars. Every telescope, every satellite, every radar on Earth lit up at once. People around the world ran into the streets and looked up. The sky turned black. On the alien mothership, Commander Vethran stood in front of the viewing glass. His glowing eyes flickered. Even he looked uneasy. A soldier asked, "The swarm has arrived." "They're earlier than expected." Vethran's voice was tight. "Begin defense protocols." In the bunker, Sarah and her team watched live feeds from satellites. James whispered, "My God." It's real. All of it. Mason clenched his fists. So they weren't lying. But they still locked us up. Sarah's voice was steady. They wanted to control us before the real fight began. But now everything changes. Above the cities, Zerithian ships started to form defensive lines. Their silver shields flared in the dark sky. Beams of energy shot upward. The swarm didn't stop. It moved straight through some of the smaller ships like they were nothing. Explosions flashed across the atmosphere. They're losing, Arya said quietly. Yeah, James added. And they said we were weak. In New York, people screamed as the sky burned with black fire. In London, shields cracked. In Tokyo, the towers pulsed with red energy as the aliens struggled to hold the line. Sarah turned to her team. This is our moment, James frowned. Our moment to do what? We can't fight that. We don't need to fight the swarm, Sarah said. We need to break the cages. If humans are free, we fight back together. The plan was dangerous, but it was their only chance. If the Zerithians fell while humanity was still locked down, Earth would be lost. The resistance moved fast. Dozens of small human teams hidden across the world answered Sarah's call through old radio channels. Hit the towers, she said. Everyone you can. If the aliens want to save themselves, they'll have to stop controlling us. One by one, human teams struck. Old military tech, homemade EMP bombs, hacks, sabotage, towers went dark. Red lights fell. Shields flickered. Above the world, Zerithian defenses began to fail. But something unexpected happened. As the human strike spread, Zerithian ships started to redirect power from the cages. To their weapons, James grinned. We're forcing their hand, Arya added. They need us free, and or they all die. Sarah whispered. Exactly. Commander Vethran slammed his fist on the console. Human interference is weakening the containment system. Another alien soldier shouted, but the swarm. Vethran cut him off. I know. He turned toward the view of Earth, his glowing eyes narrowed. He had called humans fragile, but now humans were the only reason his forces might survive. Release the containment zones, he said. Let them fight. A soldier hesitated. But Commander, do it, Vethran growled. All across Earth, the red towers began to shut down. The glowing cages faded like dying fire. For the first time since the aliens arrived, the sky above the cities was open. Mason looked out through the bunker's small window. They're opening the shields, James laughed. Because they need us. Sarah's face was calm, cold. Good. Now it's our turn. The first wave of the dark swarm hit the planet like a storm. Zerithian and human forces, enemies only hours ago, were now side by side. Fighting the same darkness, human fighter jets filled the sky. Old weapons, new alien tech, everything they had was thrown into the fire. The war had begun, and for the first time, the Zerithians understood the truth about humanity. Humans weren't weak. They were dangerous. The sky was on fire. The dark swarm fell over Earth like a black storm, covering the stars. The sound was like 1,000 wings tearing through the air. Buildings shook. The ground trembled. Zerithian ships formed a wall of silver light. Human fighter jets roared behind them. For the first time, Earth was united, not by choice, but by survival. Sarah Kane stood on the command deck of an old military airfield. The place was half broken, but it was alive with people. Soldiers, mechanics, hackers, pilots. The resistance had become an army. On the big screen, black shapes filled the radar. Sarah's hands flew over the controls. The swarm is splitting into 3 waves, she said. One straight to the cities, one toward the alien fleet, and one... Right here, James adjusted his headset. They're coming for the control hubs. They know where the fight matters, Sarah nodded. Then that's where we'll break them. In orbit, the Zerithians were fighting for their lives. Their silver ships were fast and strong, but the swarm didn't fly like anything they'd seen. It didn't move like machines. It moved like a living storm. Thousands of black creatures slammed into their shields. Energy beams cut through the night sky. One by one, Zerithian ships exploded like sparks against the darkness. Inside the alien mothership, Commander Vethran shouted orders. Redirect power to the lower fleet. Protect the shield generators. But the swarm kept coming. Vethran clenched his fists. This is not a war. This is a flood. Then something unexpected appeared on his screens. Human ships. Old rusted loud, but they flew straight into the storm without fear. Humans. They're attacking? a soldier said. Vethran stared. No, they're fighting. On the ground, the first wave of the swarm crashed into the city. Black creatures with razor wings and glowing red cores filled the streets. They moved fast, tearing through steel like paper. But humans were ready. Old tanks rolled out from hidden bases. Soldiers with EMP launchers fired from rooftops. Civilian hackers jammed swarm signals. Fighter jets screamed across the sky, shooting everything they could. For years, humans had built weapons to fight each other. Tonight, they used them together. Mason was on the front line. His voice came through the radio. Sarah, we're holding the east side. These things bleed when you hit the core. Copy that, Sarah answered. Keep them busy. We're going for the nest. The nest was a massive black shape in the sky, hovering over the city like a hole in reality. It was where the swarm was coming from. Sarah climbed into the cockpit of a captured Zerithian dropship. James and Arya joined her. The ship rose into the smoke-filled night. Above them, the swarm twisted like a living sea. Zerithian and human ships were locked in a brutal dance of fire and light. You sure about this? James asked. Sarah's voice was firm. We've come too far to stop. They flew low, dodging swarm creatures and burning wrecks. As they got closer to the nest, a bright red light pulsed from its center, like a beating heart. That was the source, Arya locked on. That's our target. We destroy that, maybe the swarm falls apart. Or maybe we all die, James muttered. Either way, Sarah said, we finish this. They dove straight into the nest. Swarm creatures swarmed their ship, slamming against the glass. The alien tech screamed. James fired pulse cannons. Arya launched EMP bursts. The heart of the nest was a massive red core. It pulsed with power, sending waves through the swarm. Sarah aimed the ship directly at it. Brace for impact. The dropship fired everything, rockets, plasma, EMP. The core shook and cracked. A blast of energy threw their ship backward. On the ground, Mason saw the sky flash red. The swarm creatures around him froze. Their wings twitched. They hit it, Mason shouted. They actually hit it! Arya's voice came through the comms, gasping. The core is breaking. It's working! The red light in the nest pulsed faster and faster, then exploded outward like a star. A shockwave ripped through the sky. The swarm screamed, not with mouths, but with a sound that tore through the air. The black tide broke apart. Creatures fell like rain, burning into ash before they hit the ground. The night sky cleared for the first time in weeks. In orbit, Zerithian ships stopped firing. Commander Vethran stared at the view. The swarm was collapsing. They did it, a soldier said. Vethran whispered, humans. Sarah's ship landed hard near the airfield. Smoke rose from the wings. She stumbled out with James and Arya behind her. The world was quiet now except for distant cheers. Mason ran to them. Covered in dust and blood but smiling. You're insane, he said. And you love it, Sarah answered. Above them, the alien mothership lowered slowly through the clouds. Zerithians stepped out, not as conquerors, but as survivors. Commander Vethran approached Sarah. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then he said softly, We thought you were fragile. We thought you needed protection. Sarah met his glowing eyes. You were wrong. Vethran nodded once. Yes, you were never weak. All over the world, people stepped out of their homes. The red towers were dark now. The cages were gone. Earth was scarred, but free. Humans had fought for themselves, not because they were the strongest, but because they refused to give up. Sarah looked up at the stars. For the first time, they were clear. No swarm, no cage, just the future. They came to protect us, she whispered. But in the end, we protected ourselves.